Good morning. I'm John Felsenthal with Quality Hydraulics. Welcome to our session on successfully implementing Moematics. Thank you for joining us. Just a few things before we begin. During the presentation, all participants will be muted. If you have any questions, please ask them through the chat window. The chat bubble is in the upper right of your screen. I will answer any questions that anybody has at the end. The session will be recorded and a link will be sent out after the meeting. Scott Cruden with Quality Hydraulics and Chuck McPherson from STW will be our presenters. And with that, I will hand things over to Scott.
All right, thank you. And I want to thank everybody for their time here today, and we'll try to make it as interesting and as informative and short and sweet as possible. I'm going to turn my camera off though, because we've been having some widthband resource issues as we were testing things out. So I'll shut that off and then I'll continue on with the presentation here. And if you give me just a minute, I'm already having some technical difficulties. My screen will not advance to the next slide. There it goes. All right, sorry about that. Well, as John said, yes, I'm Scott Cruden, and I'm the Complex Systems Manager at Quality Hydraulics and Pneumatics. And today we're going to show you why Moematics is a better solution for telematics. That means this presentation is going to be for everyone interested in telematics, whether you're in engineering, technical services, purchasing, or sales and marketing. And even if you're the CEO, CFO, and anyone that's involved in the decision making who influences the financial health of your company, you need to understand the dimensions of how Moematics will help drive your company's success. Think about this throughout the presentation, the acronym GIGO. It's the adage, garbage in, garbage out. Or more politely stated, what you put into something influences what you'll get out. It sounds oversimplistic, but consider that the most elusive challenge to every endeavor is knowing what to put in. And the most important inputs, not often given enough attention, surround the prevailing philosophies, the expectations, and the outlook. So here's how I apply this. I think back to Microsoft's founder, Bill Gates' statement where he said, computers will never need more than 64K memory. He had an outlook, though it was faulty, and what drove his philosophy and expectations, only he knows. However, he obviously adapted and looked over the horizon and adjusted these characteristics. This is analogous to telematics of yesterday compared to Moematics of today and tomorrow. Telematics met the needs of yesterday, but Moematics provides the necessary inputs for what mobile industries are facing today and will tomorrow. Before I go further, I'm going to just briefly cover the agenda here. We'll talk about how we arrived at Moematics, why Moematics instead of telematics, what it is, why Quality Hydraulics is the only source, and how to get started on the right path. And I'm going to give a more concise definition of Moematics as this unfolds, but I want to just take minutes to let it unfold itself. Early on, most telematics applications consisted of some sensors and data acquisitions devices. The basis for telematics systems was customers' wants, the hardware and components that were available, and limited analytics. Today, telematics has gravitated to more sensors and a little more analytics. Compare that with Moematics. Moematics integrates the customers and their business, their vision, integrative analytics, the dynamics of all these, the adaptable technologies to evolve with the changes, plus it also includes telematics at its core. It's a comprehensive integrative based approach. So restated, Moematics offers customers what's essential for them to achieve what they need. Now, I find there are 4 basic customer perceptions regarding telematics, and these are what contributed to the development of Moematics. I want to briefly talk about each, and you can see where you might be. I found that every company identifies with one of these, but these all show the hindrances of any or all of their philosophy, expectations, or outlooks. The first of these are customers who are already engaged in telematics to some degree, and they feel they're already there. Some think they're done, some think they can figure out how to upgrade when needed, and others are stalled and aren't sure what's next. And even if they know what they want to do, they're not sure how to get there as they confront the limitations of their current systems. Often these customers admit they feel they're too deeply invested in the systems they have and where they're at, and they're not sure where to squeeze what they need out of their existing system. They feel they're faced with either the exorbitant cost to continue with their existing telematics platform, or worse, having to start over. They see the mounting cost of taking their next step, feeling they're locked in, and to some degree they are, unless they turn to Moematics. The second are customers who want to employ telematics, but they want or they feel that they need to do it all themselves. And there's several reasons for this, but it often comes down to simply they feel they'll save money if they do it themselves. And many of us have this same belief in our personal life, and I'm certainly one of those. I like to do all my home projects myself because I can. But over the years, I've gotten wiser, and I know most of the time anyway, what's worth me spending my valuable time on, or when I should consult with someone who can do a better job or do it more cost effectively. And in addition to stealing my valuable time when I do it myself, it keeps me from achieving the best outcome sometimes. Protecting and increasing your return on investment depends on optimizing the execution of your vital resources, and that includes most of all your people. Companies who want to do it all themselves need to consider the real cost of going it alone. The third are customers who don't see a need or who aren't able to justify the investment. They ask, shouldn't we or shouldn't we? Every good or bad decision begins at this junction. Less than 30 years ago, the cell phone seemed a novel idea. The benefit to some professionals and salespeople were obvious, but why would the average person need one? And anymore, why would anyone need a calendar, instant weather access, a camera, especially a GPS, or even more mind-boggling, why would they need a computer on their phone? These are some of the very considerations that businesses are faced with today that they need to start addressing now regarding getting started in telematics and Moematics. The approach that exceptional leaders take when faced with such pervasive and life-altering technologies as this is not to ask, do I need it? Rather, they ask, how can I use it? They look for ways to apply it because they know if they don't, they certainly won't be a leader. And worse, they know the cost of trying to catch up. The question to ask then is, how can I use Moematics to improve our company's position? So don't be too quick to think it isn't for you. Now's the time, no matter the size of your business. Again, because remember, years ago, the cell phone was only for certain people, and now it's essential for everyone. Those not starting now likely find that one day they're trying to defend why they didn't start sooner as they frantically try to catch up. And the fourth and last are customers who want to jump in now, but they don't know how. These truly reveal the need for a Moematics approach. And it's not only these, but they expose the shortcomings of the telematics approach and gave rise to our Moematics. One of the most notable and interesting experiences was with a customer who thought they're ready to begin. And they were in the process of ordering a telematics module from a competitor. I had the opportunity, though, to gather their influencing engineering and management along with STW for some preliminary discussions. They knew what they wanted, or they thought they did anyway. They simply wanted to monitor a few machine characteristics such as oil pressure and engine RPM. But in no time, their wish list had ballooned and sailed off. We confirmed what we already knew. They didn't know what they really wanted. And more, they did not know what they did not know, but that they needed to know to get started on the right path. Even more, they realized had they opted for the competitor's offering, they would have found themselves locked in and restricted from easily adapting to future changes without incurring substantial cost and pain. Many customers already find themselves here, and many wish they would have started sooner. One of the most important lessons from our experience with telematics is with telematics, customers often start where it seems logical, where it makes the most sense. And one of several problems this leads to is the data dilemma. Conversely, data and analytics are embedded in Moematics because it addresses these important issues. They're how to gather data, gathering the relevant data, getting it to the right place, who will manage it, who owns it, what analytic capabilities are required to effectively use it, what to do with the results, what are the cost drivers, how return on investment will be impacted. And there are a host of other questions that, quite frankly, the telematics approach doesn't inherently address. So, where are we at now? QHP combines our expertise in engineered applications and system solutions with STW's engineered telematics products and solutions, with Elevate's proven foundational analytics solutions that are uniquely tailored to perform as one seamless entity through QHP to offer the total solution. Yes, we package the hardware, such as sensors, processors, modems, and transmitters, preparing the cellular and IoT communications networks, and continue on through tailoring the unique and dynamic analytic systems to perform and offer the Moematics. So I've been injecting the term Moematics here. So here's a more concise definition. Moematics describes telematics applications that are most commonly used in heavy mobile machinery in the agricultural, construction, mining, forestry, waste disposal, and utility and other industries. There's a contextual definition that I like too. It takes into account the customer's business and vision combined with our expertise and theirs, products and physical intellectual resources, and yields a dynamic system adaptable to changing demands and time. So, as I get ready to hand this off to Chuck McPherson for really the more interesting and more informative part of the presentation, I want you to consider that no matter where you're at in the process now, whether you're just looking or whether you're deeply involved, he'll talk about the steps that could help change your course, help you avoid mistakes, redirect your path, and open your future with telematics. I'm going to turn it over to Chuck at this time.
Thanks, Scott. I'm Chuck with STW. I am the North American Integration Manager with STW, and the next portion here, myself and Dave from Elevate will do some talks regarding the tool and steps to potentially achieve a complete IoT platform solution for your business. The software components as they come together here are two items that we call, trade names are Reach and Elevate. And so as we move forward into this, what are the objectives of an IoT solution in the mobile machine environment? So how can we improve efficiency? How can we gain data to make better decisions for future machines? How can we accelerate the intelligence of our current machines? How can we optimize the machine health and the performance of machines? And then solving that data dilemma that Scott had mentioned earlier, how can we use the data to either monetize it or to create cost savings for a company? And then lastly, how can we use that to help operators of fleets or operators that are actually needing to monitor their equipment and do that more efficiently? So this kind of leads to the pathway. How can you achieve a full IoT solution in really in the telematic environment? And there's kind of three pathways here. We'll really only be discussing one today, but briefly I'll hit on the concept that we do have customers that buy our telematic box. They have thoughts of doing the entire solution themselves. They spend a lot of money in time and resources and people. And in most cases, the ultimate business impact is very low because it costs a lot of money to dedicate people to a certain project for months and years, where companies like STW and Elevate, that our companies do that, and that's simply what we do every day. So the solution that we look to push is with Elevate and STW together in our software tool. The Reach Elevate pieces come together, and basically we remove the resource investment from you. You don't need to put in your time to create the software tool, and as a result, you can achieve a very high business impact very quickly. So in discussing the parts, Reach, when you kind of boil down what the software tool does, it is the asset management tool. It's the method that you reach your machines. So how can you initially get hardware on your machines? How can you start to service those machines remotely? How can you diagnose health? How can you just simply get variables going to the cloud? And how can you perform software updates to those machines? And then we introduce the Elevate piece. Now it comes into, again, that data dilemma. How do we get our information from those machines and get it to the cloud? So how can you elevate your business to a higher level by doing something with the data? And possibly just as important, make sure that your machines are running the way that you want them to and the customers desire them to. So I have a few testimonials in here from customers that we've worked with over the last 10 years in our IoT space. So by our second year, we were able to reduce our warranty claims by 10%, resulting in huge savings directly applied to our bottom line. This was only possible because of the data or evidence we collected. Considering our overall investment was low, our IoT platform is considered a resounding success. And I have just the size of the customer in there just as a reference point. So the process, how do we get to a solution? And this may seem overly simplistic, but Scott mentioned it in his presentation, and I think Dave will support this. We've been doing this a long time, and if we try to solve the entire equation at one time, it almost always results in frustration and poor results. So what we try to do is understand the goals and the scope, and then break it down into steps, and go through first getting data going. If you can't read data from your machine, it doesn't matter what else you're trying to do. Nothing can happen if you don't get data moving to the cloud. So we'll walk you through those steps and progress you through our tool suite to get you to a final solution. So another testimonial, the ability to remotely access our controllers via remote access, bridge link, or device link has enabled us to update programs and provide tech support without having to go to the field. This is a huge cost savings for us and for our customers. So again, in continuing that process, in order to fully look at a customer, we try to always take steps and have what we call a discovery meeting. And it's simply trying to find out what your goals are, trying to help you maybe understand some goals that you don't yet realize, and really walk through an entire process of how an IoT portal or project could really impact your business. Once we learn that information, we'll move on and do what we call a personalization. And that's where we actually take the software tools and start throwing some of the data points that you may provide to us ahead of time and show you how the tool can actually be personalized for your business and not be something like a one size fits all experience. And then finally, we would get you some hardware, get you set up in the portal and allow you to go through your own testing and proof of concept. And then almost always that results in a re-engagement to discuss what else we need to look at, what else we might need to train you on, and how we can further engage you to bring you deeper into the portal and bring you closer to financial success. So the discovery process is, again, a process that myself and some of the sales team from quality would work with customers on to just ask some questions. And I'm not going to bang on all those today just to save time, but a few of those that always seem to come up as important. How many times a year do you travel to the field to diagnose a machine? And in today's current environment, can you even travel to the field to diagnose a machine? Are you interested in flashing your controllers or your displays? How do you manage the warranty claims on your vehicles? How do you manage productivity, be it worker productivity or the actual productivity of the machine itself? Is there an aftermarket parts strategy that you've incorporated to try to gain more aftermarket parts? And within the company, have you assigned somebody who's going to be the champion of the telematic project? And has management helped to define or bought into the concept of a telematic project? And have you determined a long-term scope for your business? We've over the years done many projects where they start with great intentions, but if there's not an understanding of how there's actually a business case for the OEM, it's a very difficult process to continue. So what we try to do is make sure we have a lot of upfront discussions to help explain what the business case can be and explain how the tool can help you realize your desires. So I'll go through some personalization examples, so what the portal would actually look like, and then I'll turn it over to Dave, and he'll do a little bit of live action from inside of the portal itself. So when we talk about being in the stage that I mentioned as the crawl stage, this again is the foundational element of it is how do you set up variables on your machine? How do you read the variables off of your CAN bus to create some type of vision or view down to your machines? And then how do you update those machines? Update them one at a time, update all of them if you want at one moment, or keep them in a constant auto update mode so that they are always seeing the variables, or really pushing the variables that you want to see for the cloud. And then with those variables, we can take those, and if you want to do virtual technician sessions with a problem machine in the field, you dial into that machine. You can assign, really prior to it, you assign variables to screens, and you essentially are live logging into a machine in the field and able to see variables that are being thrown on a machine, and then look at them in a format that might make sense to you, be it gauge format or some kind of tabular format. So Reach Elevate has afforded us the opportunity to predict and prevent derailment, saving thousands in prevention of downtime and repairs. This was a very big deal for a customer, and very successful. So a personalization of now with information in the cloud, it gives you the ability to look at a lot of data points. You can accumulate those data points or aggregate them over each other, so you're looking at points, considering it from a fleet perspective or from individual machine perspective, and do math in the cloud, such as averages over time or comparisons to other variables. You'll have the ability to set up maintenance dashboards, which allows you to kind of be the preemptive strike for your aftermarket parts business. How can you set up criteria for hourly or 500-hour maintenance periods and start to predict what type of aftermarket parts business is out there, and start to proactively go out there and try to acquire that aftermarket parts business to raise that revenue. And with that, you'd have the ability to upload a data list or a sort of a pick list that customers then can be prompted to go ahead and select items to purchase. And always we're showing you the money that's potentially out there from devices that are overdue for maintenance. And just this would be a picture of how it would look with the parts list itself that you might be able to upload, or we can upload for you. So last testimonial, Telematics has completely changed our business model in allowing us to monitor and control batches, concrete batches while in transit, resulting in fewer rejected loads and removing disputes over concrete quality. This has allowed us to profit at a level higher than our competition, sell more additives, all while delivering a higher level of concrete, EAU 2,500 pieces. And I put all these together just to show that our business model collectively is not exclusive for one EAU type. We have customers that are very large, and we have customers that are down to 10, 20, 30 pieces. And the tool fits all of those needs. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Dave, if you want to take the reins. As we come together, you know, our motto is becoming, it's not what we do, but it's what we deliver.
Thank you, Chuck. Now, I can change, make me the presenter, please.
Dave, you should be able to, on the bottom, there's a round circle. If you just press on the screen, you should be able to present.
Yeah, I stopped sharing, Dave, so you should be able to take it.
Yep. Okay. So now can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. So this is a live machine. It's running in the Pacific Northwest right now. It is a lumber handling machine. And the nice thing about this is that in the control room at the in the maintenance shack, it's more than a shack, but the supervisor can look at all of his machines, pick them out, identify each one of them individually, and then get this information. Now, this is information from just one machine, and this is in real time. So we're updating about every 15 seconds on most conditions. So engine temperature here, you can see as you hover over them, you can see that how often and how frequently we update. And you can hop in here and look at any of the data. So this is the cooling temperature in the blue line, and the green line is the intake temperature. So we know that the air temperature coming in is basically 48 degrees at that point in time, and the coolant temperature was at 188. So, and it timestamps each of these. Now, every bit of this data that we're showing and displaying is being written to the cloud at the same time. At the end of the day, or at the end of the shift, or at the end of the week or month, a report can be automatically printed out and transmitted to whoever you want to send it to. So the CEO may get a list that has just how many hours each of the machines ran, because that's the only thing he cares about. The supervisor for the oilers gets a list of how much oil has been used, or whatever necessary for them. So as we scroll down through here, you're going to see that this is, again, remember, for just one machine, but where we have engine torque load, battery voltage, we have hydraulic oil temp, we have the transmission oil temperature, engine RPM, engine pressures, total fuel used, transmission. Now, all of this information, the majority of this information is available, especially if you have a Tier 4 engine or a machine with a Tier 4 engine. It's already on the CAN bus and available. So you're not adding a whole lot more, but you certainly can add additional sensors. So as we scroll down here, you can see we can broaden out and really zoom in and see individual details and then see how they coordinate, so that we know that the transmission pressure at that point in time was such, but then we also know that the hydraulic oil temp was at such. It's nice to be able to do analysis and look at everything all in one big snapshot. A picture tells 1,000 words, or is worth 1,000 words, is that the saying? But so now, on top of all the other things that we have here, we're using GPS and Geo Locating, so we know what the ground speed is, and we know if the machine's moving or when it's not. This is obviously this morning before they got to work. Now that he's working, you can see that he's moving. His hoist pressure coordinates is in sync with his motion and his movement. His steering, tilt steering level, I mean, all kinds of stuff, information that's available. Again, at a glance. So the operator and the supervisor, or whoever is interested in watching and monitoring, knows that when there's something going on here. And as you see, there's a lot of data here. This is, again, one machine, and then the additional sensors added allow you to have position, so the boom position, carriage position, information that's not just there on the CAN bus network because of the Tier 4 engine, but additional information from, say, temposonic sensors or pressure sensors, all sorts of different input. And then there's, as I said, we're geolocating, so we can look and see where the machine has been all day long today. You can see the make sure that he's not left his location. We could put boundaries on these. We can put a fence, a geo fence around it, so that if the machine were to leave the area that it's supposed to stay in, we could quickly alert somebody to the fact that the machine was gone or has gone off the reservation. Again, all of this information available, and when the operator starts using this, they know exactly where to scroll to see the things that are important to them. All of this information is being loaded up to the cloud. As I said, we do it about every 15 seconds by default. We can go down to milliseconds time range, and we can react to emergencies and set boundaries on different things. So if the engine temperature gets too high, we can alert. If the tire pressure gets too low, we can alert. We can do all sorts of things and automatically broadcast these out to whoever might be interested in getting that information. And at that point, I'm going to say, are there questions? Chuck, anything you'd like to add?
Not from my end, Dave. I think I'm good with that. It would be interesting if there's any questions, and feel free to ask them if you have them.
Hi, this is John. I haven't seen any questions in the box there, so I guess we can give another minute here in case anybody does have a question. You can either put it in the box, or if you feel free, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Yeah, I think just to maybe chime in, John, I think our goal would be, if anybody wants to see a real presentation within the entire portal, we certainly would like to do that and have conversations on how we could personalize that presentation for your company.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's really what we prefer. Let's talk to you about what it is that's important to you.
Okay. All right. Well, seeing as we don't have any questions at this time, just like to thank you all for your time. Hope you found this informative. We'll send an email out in the next day or so with a link to the session, along with an invitation to specifically show you how this may help you. So thanks for attending, and this concludes our session.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.